Chris, tell us about this photo.
Well, this photo was taken just outside the East Gate at Camp Taji there in Iraq. Um, we're actually standing on top of one of the former governor's mansions that was blown up. There's actually, during this photo, there's actually a firefight that's taking place just on the other side of the river.
Wow. So you could hear it.
We could hear it.
Yeah. Okay. Like maybe a mile away, something like that? Or?
Yeah, roughly about a mile away.
Wow. Okay. What year was this photo taken?
This one was taken in 2004.
2004. So pretty
Correct.
early in the Iraq conflict.
Yes, sir. We deployed in October of 2003. We were about the second or third rotation in
Yeah. Yeah.
to cross the border.
So do you remember when the invasion was? 2003. When we first went in. I don't remember. Was the spring maybe?
I think it was early spring.
Yeah, 2003.
So we weren't far behind.
Right, but by the time you guys get there, the insurgency is starting up, right? The insurgency is underway.
Yes, sir. Our ROE, which is the rules of engagement,
Yeah.
when we got there was if you see a weapon, shoot to kill on sight.
Really, is that right? Yeah. So we had I've done discussions here with another Iraq vet, and he was there for the initial invasion. The statue of Saddam comes down, and things calm down. Seems pretty hopeful, but then after he takes off, that's when the insurgency kicks up. You get there when the insurgency is kicking up. So you arrive in October 2003.
We actually arrived in country 6 months after we were initially put on orders. So we got put on orders in October, and 6 months later we were in country. So spring of 2004 we were in country. We were in country.
Yeah, so the insurgency is well underway at that time. And did you do a 12-month tour there?
Yes, our tour in country was 12 months. Overall deployment was 18.
Okay. So why did you? We'll talk about in different discussions. We'll talk about your experiences in Iraq, your experience in country. Why did you join the Army in the first place? What was the motivation for joining the Army?
I lived in a small town there in Arkansas, and there was no future there. I was trying to determine where I was at. I was getting in a lot of trouble with the law, and figured I needed to do something to bring discipline into my life.
Yeah.
And so a recruiter showed up at the school. I talked to him. We discussed a few options, and I was like, this is what I need to do to try to help straighten my life out and get out of this small town that I didn't have a future in.
Yeah, yeah. And so what year did you go into the Army?
I enlisted in June of 1997.
Oh,
so I was 17
Wow, okay.
when I enlisted.
And you had to get some adults' permission to...
I had to get my mom to sign the waiver.
Okay, so you signed up at 17. And what was your job in the Army? What did you train to do?
I initially started out as a combat engineer, demolitions expert.
Yeah.
And then later on in my career, I became a 13 Bravo cannon crew member.
What does that mean?
Field artillery.
Field
So
artillery.
we were on the M109 howitzers.
Okay. And is that the job you kept when you went to Iraq?
I was actually I was a combat engineer in Iraq.
Combat engineer in Iraq.
So we worked real closely with EOD.
With the folks who took care of the explosive devices.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So what's the work of the combat engineer? Just real quick, the basic job description.
It depends. It's a wide range. We build bridges, houses. So there's the construction side of the combat engineers, and then there's the demolition side of the engineers, which are the explosives, mine disposal,
Wow.
and stuff. And that was the side that I did.
You did the kind of, so you said working with EOD.
with EOD
What is that, explosive ordnance
disposal.
disposal? So, just real quick, I mean, so what did that job involve then? A call comes in and says, we have an IED, we've identified we have an IED on the side of the road or something, and then you guys go out and deal with
We
it?
go out
or-
and deal with it.
Yeah.
My platoon's main job while we were in Iraq was we did a lot of route clearance. So we would drive up and down all the main MSRs
What's
or the
that,
main
sorry?
supply routes
Yeah. Okay.
and just look for IEDs on the side of the road. And when we would spot them, then we would call it in,
Yeah.
and EOD would come out and take care of it.
Okay.
And then we would also do convoy escorts.
Okay. Let me ask you this question, then we'll talk about your time here at JBU. So what kinds of things would you look for? Because, I mean, obviously, I think most of the time the IEDs are going to be hidden in one way or another. So what kind of stuff are you looking for?
They used a lot of different markers. 3 rocks stacked on top of each other. If they were buried, you'd look for freshly turned over dirt where they had dug and then placed it and then covered it back up.
Mm-hmm.
They started getting really smart and started putting them in trash that was just laid on the side of the road. We found one in a tire.
In a tire.
Just an old tire that they'd pulled
Yeah.
off the rim was sitting on the side of the road, and an IED was stuck inside
Yeah.
it.
And we're using the acronym IED, improvised explosive device, right? I've heard even some cases they would put them in dead animals.
Dogs.
Yeah. But it's not easy because there's a lot of trash around already, right?
There is, so you've got to just be real cautious and visual of your surroundings.
Yeah.
So if you went down the route one day and then you come back down the route and there's a new piece of trash there, you might, that wasn't there the day before.
A small pile.
A
of
small
trash
pile
or
of trash
something
that was there today but not there yesterday.
Yeah.
That's another pretty good indicator that
Yeah.
that
Okay.
there's possibly an IED there.
Sure. Okay. Well, we'll talk about your time in Iraq in some different discussions, but bring us to your time here at JBU. When did you start your work as a student here at JBU?
I applied in 2013, was accepted. I started my undergrad in August of 2013.
Okay. And with the goal of what was your major? Is it your same major now?
My
what are you studying?
initial goal was to go on and get my master's in some form of counseling, marriage and family counseling and clinical counseling.
Yeah.
And I was wanting to work with other disabled vets and with more of a focus on PTSD counseling.
Sure.
And try to work with other vets and stuff like that and
Yeah.
get them to open up, because
Sure.
a lot of the counselors and psychologists and psychiatrists that the VA has, they've never been deployed, they've never been in the military, and so they just don't understand.
Sure.
And so I thought to myself, hey, a vet's going to open up more to a vet that's been there,
Sure.
and then it can be therapeutic for both parties.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would be therapeutic for me and therapeutic for them, because then we can have that connection.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So I started as a psychology major. I graduate in May.
Okay. As a psychology major.
As a
still?
psychology
Okay.
major. However, last semester I was talking with my advisor and found out, because I've went to the online program. So last semester I found out that I could declare a minor, where when I initially started, online students couldn't declare minors. And so looking back at all the courses that I've taken, I've been able to declare a minor in leadership and a minor in ethics.
Wow.
So I'll have my psychology degree with those 2 minors.
Wow. Great. And what are you hoping to do in, let's say, 3, 4, 5 years from now?
Well, I just found out that I no longer have any GI Bill money left,
Mm-hmm.
which is what's paying my tuition and my books and everything here. So
Yeah.
my plans have changed a little bit. I'm not going to be able to come back and get my master's degree like I planned on.
Mm.
But I believe that God's opened another door for me. I've recently become the youth pastor at our church, and I'm also one of the associate pastors.
Sure.
So I do Wednesday night Bible studies,
Okay.
and if our pastor and the actual associate pastor can't show up on Sunday, then I fill in on a Sunday too.
Wow. Are there other veterans in the church?
Our pastor is a Marine Corps vet.
Okay. Is he peacetime vet or military or a combat vet?
I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
I want to say it was peacetime,
Okay.
but I'm not 100%.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think? You've sort of indicated that, your experience in Iraq has led to ongoing challenges for you. And we can discuss those in other discussions. And so, you coming to JBU as a student, I mean, you come with a lot more rattling around in your head than the typical JBU student comes because of your combat experience in Iraq. But what do you think has been the best thing about your work here at JBU? Not necessarily the easiest thing, but what do you think has been the best thing about your work here at JBU?
When I first come to JBU, I was still struggling a little bit with my faith. Because of being in war and being in combat and some of the stuff that has taken place, some of the things that I'd seen, some of the things that I've done,
Yeah.
Didn't quite line up with, Scripture and how you're supposed to act as a Christian. There's things that you have to do that goes against those morals and those values. So I was struggling with my faith and trying to determine whether or not, okay, where am I at, God? Am I forgiven? Why did you let those things take place? So I was kind of struggling with my faith a lot, but
Yeah.
the best thing since I've been here is I've grown so much in my faith, and being able to speak with professors and other students, who have a strong faith has been able to help pull me along, and so my faith has been probably being able to dig deeper into the Bible and being able to dig deeper into my faith and stuff has probably been the best thing that could have ever happened to me here at JBU.
Wow. Well, great. Well, we'll end this conversation here, and we'll pick up discussing your experiences in Iraq and other discussions. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.